Let's start over again. Okay, infrastructure considerations, chapter 2. So we saw about codes. Codes, it's ruled by the cities. Some state has its codes as well, but most of the time the city has its own codes. It's universal, not only this country, all the country on the planet has the same rules. Each country has its own cities, and the cities control the constructions, the zoning, etc. In structural issues, infrastructure considerations, structural issues. Special structural considerations are relevant to each phase and element of the project. I'll explain better why. If you have the original construction plans, you can begin with them as guide, but eventually you will need to verify that the structure was actually built as indicated on the plans, because chances are
Can you put up the PowerPoint again?
Sorry?
Can you put the PowerPoint up again, please?
You're not saying the PowerPoint. Oh, sorry. Let's go back. There you go. Can you see now? Can you see? All right. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Sorry about that. So usually I saw it happen. So we can ask your customer, do you have the plans? They show the plans, but along the time, during the years, somebody did some construction, alteration, and the plans you have probably could not be the same, the reality of you have the moment. So it's really important for you to go to the local and the place, the site, and check if the plan is matching with the reality of the construction. Why it's important to talk about structural issues? I'll tell you why. Because it's happened. I work in this company, and then we offer a carpet installation, floor installation, for floor, for wall, etc. And one of the part of job before we do any project is to do the measurement and go to somebody else's house and not only see the measurement, not only do the measurement, but check the conditions of the wall, of the floor, because if something is not okay, we cannot proceed, we cannot move forward, and then you see why. Floor, it is important to know more about the structure, what is hidden within or below that floor, and then why. We have two kinds of floor here in the US, but the way I'll show the two different floors in the construction in the US, but for the people from different countries, I'll show how the cement base work as well, but this is really important. We have this floor made of wood, framing, conditions of the floor joist, the way it was constructed and possible damage. Believe me, I have a problem with customers. It happened. We have to install the floor, and then when we noticed there was some problem in the structural, and then we cannot proceed. And then the customer was really mad. But when we move this base, when we check under, this joint was totally rotten. So we cannot do any kind of installation. Sometimes when you go to somebody's house, we don't see what we have below. So when I show this slide, just for you to be warned about this situation, because chances are, if you do some project and you don't check the condition of the base of the floor, we cannot do your project. And I'll show in the next slide what happens. So for the framing, it's really important to check the condition of the joists, the way it was constructed, and possible damages. And another type of floor is concrete slab foundation. Some houses are made of concrete, the base of the house, but believe me, this can show some problems after years. If you have a really old house, chances are to have some cracks, some infiltrations. So check for moisture and cracks that require sealing, because look at this. This is something I saw in my professional life here. And the customer didn't notice this problem until the moment we removed the carpets, we moved the floor of the kitchen, and then we realized the subfloor was rotting. And then when they dig more, they noticed something like that. And then immediately we had to stop the process, have to stop the project and tell the customer, hey, this is something we have to fix, but we don't fix it. You need to contract a specific contractor to fix it. So usually the people get really mad, really frustrated, but something we cannot do because most of the time, the people who works with the kitchen or flooring, they only install the floor in the kitchen. Everything goes over the subfloor. Everything below the subfloor, it's another job, it's another contractor, it's another professional. That's why it's really important when you start to work, you have to put something in your project, in your contract, warning the customers. If some problem was detected during the measurement or during the construction, something like that, we cannot proceed. So the construction of the project should stop, and then the customer should go over this process, this project with different contractor, and they have to sign it. It's really important. And concrete is the same. Sometimes it happens. So imagine a concrete slab like that. If the concrete has this big crack, as you can see this groove, you cannot set anything on top of it. Doesn't matter if it's a vinyl plank, it's a laminate, this must be fixed because this will show on top of the material you set, and the infiltration comes through this here. So be aware about the conditions, not only measurement. We need to measure and check possible problem in the wall, in the floor. Be aware too for the oversized appliance. Imagine, I said, most of my customers, when came to me, we always ask in our report when the home was built. It's one of the questions we have in our questionnaire, when your home was built. And then they say 1960, 1950s. Imagine during that time, this is the refrigerator they used to make for the people that time. But now they have this gigantic refrigerator, it's heavier. So probably the kitchen, the floor needs a reinforcer to support such a weight, such a heavy appliance. Be aware about that. Stability and evenness. Not only damages, we need to pay attention when you check for the floor. The evenness, sometimes the floor is not even, the foundation move a little bit, warp a little bit, and then everything you put on top of the floor, we won't fit, we won't work. Especially cabinets. Cabinets require a sound and flat foundation on which to rest so that all the edges fit perfect together in a continuous line, so there's no gap. And in most of the appliances, as you can see, they are built in, they go inside of the cabinet. You have some problems here, if this floor is not even, it's not stable, nothing go inside the cabinet, and I show you why. This is something I saw, and it's not my company, it's another company, but this happened. This company installed the cabinet, they did the measurement, but they didn't check the condition of the floor. And look how the cabinet, what happened to the cabinet? No doors match with each other. All the joints are out of the square. So, and then the customer asked, who will fix it? This is the problem I told you. We cannot go ahead with the project. We cannot build anything on top of the floor for the customer if during the process of our measurement, we detect something wrong on the floor like that I explained before. So be aware about that, okay? Another consideration is regards to walls. Often remodeling projects call for altering wall or wall surface. Be careful when you think about to open some holes in the wall, change the walls, because most of the walls hidden wiring, plumbing, drain, lines, vent, etc. That's why it's important to get the plans of the house to see where are the installation, the fixture installed. If the wall we want to move has all these guys here, it's a big problem for you to move this wall. Loading bearing walls. This is another really important situation we need to be aware. Load bearing walls. They are the walls that support the roof and upper levels of the structure. So what does it mean? It means some walls like that and the load bearing walls, they go perpendicular to the joints. They are structural. If you remove all of them, you put down the entire house. So never do any alteration in wall before you talk with somebody who can do that. We are designers. We are not engineers. So we cannot just go to somebody else's house. Okay, if the customer wants to move the wall and change the wall the position, we cannot say, hey, let's do that. No, it's not like that. It requires another professional with us, work with us, a civil engineer or an architect, okay? So be aware about bearing walls. Some bearing walls can be removed, some bearing walls can be changed, but requires engineering, and they have to do all the extraction in the roof to make it possible. It's not something we can do, designers. So another problem with the walls, the same we saw in the floor. Be aware with uneven wall. Some walls, they are not perfect even. And then imagine if you ignore this problem and then we go ahead and move forward with the project, and then your project it requires to put some tiles like this guy, this unfortunately customer, look what happened. All the tiles, this string, they don't fit. Why? Because this wall was not perfect even. And then imagine it, tile is really expensive. The material is expensive. The labor is really expensive. Imagine at the end of the process, your customer sees something like that. So an even wall exists. It's a big problem. It's something we need to check as well when you do your measurement. And square walls. If the wall is not well squared, look what happened. This is perfect square. This countertop's perfect square, but the wall was not square with this other wall. So we have this huge gap here. So how we can heal it? We cannot. Maybe we need to put a trim here, but it will be horrible. Something the customer will want to like. So be aware about the condition of the floor and be aware about the condition of the walls before you start the project, okay? But you want to be by yourself. Most of the time, if you work in an office, in an architectural office, we have different people, different skills, they work together, they will check everything with you. It's not only you, but you need to be aware about these problems. Okay, and this is the topic of the day. Human factors and universal design implications. I'll explain what is that. It's the definition. It is an enduring approach that draws from both science and spirit. It is based solely on human factors, and along with this quantitative information, places equal value on the aesthetic of a space or product. So this human factor we obtain through means this analysis of the measurement of the human, the user. But it's something we don't do because it's already done by other people. As a designer, we just apply this information, and I'll explain you which information is that. The definition about universal design, before you go for the human factors, the universal design responds to our growing appreciation and respect for diversity in the spaces we design, and the stature, age, abilities, and culture of the people for whom we design. So imagine we don't have only one kind of people on the planet. We have different kind of people, different age, different necessities, different culture. When we talk about human factors and universal design, it's something we try to talk about inclusive policy. So everybody, when we work for everybody. We work for all kinds of customers. And then one of the aspects we work with this is through the anthropometry. But the anthropometry will talk about basically about measurements. But I'll show the next slide what is that. It is the design of products and space to be usable by all people to the greatest extent possible. When we talk about human factors and universal design implications, so to be inclusive for everybody. I know that we don't talk about the market in general, because the market is composed by human people, and each one has its own individuality. So that's the big focus, the big trend of the designers nowadays. We need to look at the individuality of your customers. But one of the tools we use to make it possible, it's something like mechanical like that. It's anthropometry. What is anthropometry? It is defined as the study of human measurements such as size, proportion, and range of the visual range. This is anthropometry. When we design something, the chair you are sitting down this moment, the table you're using this moment, they were designed respecting the measurement of the body. Somebody did this study a long time ago, and now all the industry, everybody follow this guideline in order to make it possible for you, for me, use the same chair with relative comfort. So we don't need to measure anybody's bodies, but we can use this material. It's already ready for us to use. So anthropometric measurements are a series of quantitative measurements of the muscle, bones, and adipose tissue used to assess the composition of the body. So it's not a science. It's some people, some scholars don't recognize as a science because it's just a practical. But the professional, the scholar who did this project, they used scientific method to make this, to collect these data. And then these are the main books. One of these books I studied in my university 35 years ago. Henry Dreyfus was one of the most famous author. He studied all the human relations, the body and the human relation with the objects. So it's something we apply. We don't need to do this because somebody did before. So there's two ways to work with anthropometry. Those professionals did. Structural anthropometry, also called static anthropometry, includes many dimensions related to the body at rest. It means when you see our book, when you start to read the book you're buying for us, for kitchen, you see this chart, you see this information. This is the study they did when the body is resting. So this is the height of the eye related to the floor for this guy, for this average guy, because usually they split the man and the female in 3 levels: shorter, middle, and higher. So for each one, they have a different measurements. So this is important for us to know this relation between the top of the head for this guy to the floor. It's always the same measurement. When he's standing, his arm will be another measurement. So this shows us this relationship with the body in rest, but with regard to its measurements. So another way to study is the functional anthropometry. This is the one we use the most. Is the measurement of the body in motion. What does it mean? The body being used the object. For example, this drawing show this lady extending the arm and hold something. This could be a knob, this could be a shelf, this could be outlet, could be everything. Everything could be positioned in this high is comfortable for the woman with this size to handle with, to use it. So this is a way we study, we apply in our projects. Is the measurement of the body motion. It includes movements of the body parts in relationship to one another, as well as measures of strengths. So this is, again, we don't need to do this study because it's already done by these guys here. We have guidelines, the book we have shows, but it's important for you to know how the design works. We just don't design a chair and choose whatever height. We don't design a countertop and choose whatever height. There's a guideline we need to follow to pick the height of some furniture, the depth of this furniture, etc. So important talks. Height and reach ranges vary according to the stature, physical ability, and obstructions. The high range within a person's reach is useful for planning functional storage, fixture, appliance, and locator controls in the kitchen. For example, see this picture. The average people, the high range is always the minimum 15 inches, for example. If you go below the 15 inches, it means me, we have to bend our body really drastically to get something in this drawer. So this is a high and rich range. So when I talk about this 15 inches, for example, it's something I didn't choose. It's in the book. So I don't need to do this laboratory with my customer. I just get the information, how high is my customer, and see in the chart, okay, for you, I need to set this drawer minimum 50 inches high, otherwise it'll be too short because you're too tall, and then we cannot comfortably get anything inside this drawer, for example. So we just apply this information, we just apply this data, we don't do this data, we don't make any laboratory with any customer in their house, okay? Another important topic is mobility aids. As you can see, there are a lot of elder people nowadays. The people, because the condition of the country, the world, people eating well, eating better, vaccines, etc. So the people start to live longer. But it doesn't mean necessarily they live longer, but with the same condition the younger people. So it's normal nowadays. You see a lot of elder people in the house trying to cook, trying to do everything. So, but you need to think about them. So any special people with special needs. So mobility aids, it's a growing amount of useful data related to the movement and maneuvering, including information related to walking or moving with an assistive device. I have a lot of customers in this condition. I have a lot of customers with 80 years old, 70 years old, even 90 years old. So when we design something, we need to think about those people. So we cannot put anything so high, they cannot reach, etc. Comfort zone. It's another important aspect in the anthropometry. Based on physiological factors, we can also identify a body buffer zone. This is a body buffer zone or comfort zone. What does it mean? It's something we need to think about. People inside the kitchen, people in the restaurant. What is the buffer zone for people with wheelchair? The minimum should be 60 inches. Smaller than this, he cannot comfortably pass behind other people. Relative bigger guy, 44 inches is enough for two people, and so on. So this is the comfort zone. Okay, when we talk about the kitchen inside the house, we talk about people the same family. We have to try to make this comfort zone the maximum it's possible, but sometimes it's not. And people want to have two people cook in the kitchen, but the kitchen is too small. So they need to realize we cannot do any kind of magic. We're just a designer. But the comfort zone is something you need to take in consideration all the time, especially if you design something like a restaurant, okay? And finally, we go to this ergonomic and universal design. Ergonomic universal design is related to this here, human factors and universal design. What is ergonomic? Ergonomic is not, ergonomic, it's an application of everything we talk here. Everything we talk here. This is anthropometry. Anthropometry talks about the measurement, talk about the relationship, the measurement of the body. The anthropometry talk about the relation of the body with the objects, etc. Talk about range, high range, talk about mobility. The anthropometry talk about this comfort zone, but how we apply it in design. We apply it through this ergonomic. Based on anthropometric data and other human factors, ergonomics is the study of the relationship of people to their environment. Ergonomic design is the application of human factors data, the data we talked about before, to the design of products and space to improve function and efficiency. For example, this is your customer, and then you notice the customer has a problem. He needs to stud. So as you can see, this is not correct way to stud. You have to bend his his back. This chair is not comfortable. Everything, it's not okay for him to work with this station, this workstation. So we use that relation we saw before, and then to that analysis, we design something for him. To design something will make it possible for him to work well. So when they said here, human factors and ergonomic is the application of psychological and physiological principles, it is true, because when we saw these slides, we think about only physical, but believe me, these problems affect of psychological. This boy cannot study correctly. He'll be in bad mood. He cannot concentrate. So your posture and the product can affect not only your physical condition, but your psychological condition. So the good design is the design where the customer, the user can comfortably use the product. At the same time, he can be comfortably mentally. He can produce better because he's comfortably sit in this chair and comfortably using this table, etc. So only for you to understand the ergonomic is, for example, I need to show my face again. I want to highlight this. The ergonomic study, the ergonomic application, it started basically during the Second World War. One of the main problems detected during the Second World War, I know it's sad to talk about war, it's horrible, horrible event, but the main laboratory was the pilots in the airplanes. They were under stress, flying over enemy fields, and all the dashes, all the equipment and the dashboard is so complicated, and all that problem made a lot of airplane fell simply because the pilot cannot read all the information, cannot reach the command really fast. So they're gonna become strongly in that moment to make the operator of the airplane more comfortable, visualize better the dashboard, and so make his work better. So that's why ergonomics is really important all the time, not only in that moment, for so on. Let's go back here for the slides. Anyways, as you can see, when you design looking that problem, when you realize considering this situation, the humans, the comfort zone, the reach, the height, etc., we can make something really interesting. Remember in the other slide, they said something about this here. Let me see. Talk about not only the size, but talk about aesthetic. Believe me, when you have something perfectly designed for the body, when you have something perfectly designed for your customer in this field, eventually something like that can happen. This is a perfect example of how the good ergonomy study application can make something really interesting. But as you can see, we have this young lady using this workstation with this configuration, with this comfort zone, with this range, a high range, etc. But it works as well for this lady too. So this, I'm talking about the human factors and universal design. When you talk about universal design, it means it's a good design for everybody, for this lady and for this lady as well. So that's why it's called universal. So another important aspect of the design is the universal design is not only to make possible for everybody to use it, but to make people different age, but people can organize its space better, like this. This works really well for people left hand, people right hand. Your customer can choose the direction. He can set this drawer, for example, this go up, this go outside, go inside. So this design this solution was possible because the designer having in his hand all the information we had before, the information show you, and because he talked with the customer, he knows the condition of the customer, he knows the customer needs something special for him to use. He needs more facility to, more easy way to check something inside the cabinet, etc. So when we have all this information in your hand, we can design something really interesting. Another important aspect is the way we understand the signs. This is a universal sign. Everybody, doesn't matter which country you are, doesn't matter which language you speak, everybody on the planet know this means turn on and turn off. This is a result of economic study as well, like this. Doesn't matter which country you are, everybody understand this sign. Blue and this shape means snow. So for us, for everybody on the planet, this means cold. And the red and the shape of the sun means something hot. When you put something like that in a shower, you don't need to be concerned because it doesn't matter who you are, where you came from, you universally you understand the sign. This is hot, so I need to be careful if I open this knob, and this is cold, it'll be really cold, etc. If I open both at the same time, we will have a nice temperature. So this is ergonomic. This is universal design implications, okay? And that's it. It doesn't matter your kitchen, doesn't matter your project. This idea, this human factor, this material I introduced for you today apply for any kind of project. That's why I put these pictures. We have a picture from a Thailand kitchen. I put this picture of a Caribbean kitchen. I put this picture of African kitchen, and this is a Portuguese kitchen. It doesn't matter. It's not only for modern kitchen. This is something we need to use for any kind of customer, any kind of a client, any kind of place on this planet. So I went too fast today because I will start late. So that's it. Any question? Yes. Okay. Yami, what's your question?
I have a question, two questions. One is, what on CAD, what line weight do you use to do your walls?
What line?
Line weight do you use on CAD to do the walls, to draw it?
No, I didn't understand. Repeat again. Because,
in CAD, you have certain thicknesses of your line.
Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be the median line. Okay, it's for the drawing. Okay, technical drawing. I thought we were talking about the physical wall. See, what line, linear for the wall? Okay, now for CAD, it's gonna be the middle line because the thinner line is for the measurements. The thicker line is gonna be for the outline. So you can use the middle line. I'm not so familiar with the word AutoCAD, okay, but it's the middle. It's not the thicker, it's not the thinner. That's the question? Hello?
So it'd be like 0.25 millimeters?
Well, I'm not familiar. You make like that. The thinner for the measurement, I don't know. I usually used to use 1 millimeter for the lines of the walls. I remember I use about 2 or 3 millimeters. But
okay.
You can make any design, any drawing, send to me. If I see something is not okay, I send you back. During this process of the drawing, you can send the material for me to check, okay? Don't wait for the last moment. And then put the question there, because as I told, I'm not totally familiar with the AutoCAD. I used to use another system. I'm from the old school, sorry. When I was drawing in 1980s, 90s, I was still using my pencil, my square, so, and then I get a little bit behind without AutoCAD. But anyways, I use the middle, not the thicker. The thicker I use for cut. The thin I use to make for the measurement, and the middle, the thinner middle I use for the walls, okay?
Mhm. And even smaller for dimensions, is that what you said, than the
The
floor?
thinner for the dimensions.
Okay. Yeah, and then do you have a specific, when you come out for the dimensions from the walls, do you have a certain amount you need each dimension to come out from the walls?
Well, the dimension, you have to see what is necessary. If you have because if you have a lot of details on the wall, everything must be there. But
Yeah.
if you have a one wall, as you can show everything shows and leave the other walls clear. But it is something you have to see if it's necessary or not. All the cuts, all the grooves, all the details must be there with the measurement. So it's something, there's no rule. The rule is if you have something different, you need to measure, because otherwise when somebody will do something there, oops, there's a dent
Yeah.
here. The architect didn't put any information. How big is the dent? How deep is the dent? So it's something you need to use your common sense to see if it's not too much, if it's not repeating, because sometimes you put the measurement in another wall and you repeat the next wall, so we don't need to repeat. So again, during this process, if you have any question, you can get in touch or send me the picture or send the image and highlight the problem, and I go over and reply as soon as possible, okay?
Mhm. And one other question I have is when I measured and I go wall to wall, then I have tile on some of the walls, and the tile is about 1 inch thick.
Mm-hmm.
So do I just measure from the wall? I measure back to the wall?
No, you have to measure what you can see, unless you want to remove the tile. If you
Mhm.
keep the tile, you measure from the top of the one wall to the top of the other wall, and that's it. That's the measurement you have. But
Mhm.
sometimes the customer, they say, now I want to change the tile. So in this case, it's really important. We can make the measurement, a rough measurement, but when they put down the tile, we need to check again if the measure will be correct, because sometimes as you can see, the tile has a thickness. If they remove the tile, it will be different. But
Yeah.
in general, if they don't change anything, you just measure the way it is. So ask for your customer if he has the original plan, you can use, and go there and measure again. And always leave a buffer for you to work. Most of the time, the cabinets, they don't have the exactly same size. They always work a little bit less in case you have to move. You have to make some adjustment, okay?
Mhm.
Another question? Sophie Rashman, hello, I am having trouble finding where to take the first quiz and what our first project is. Okay, the quiz, I just set the quiz today. It's in modules. I just type top right, all the quiz is there. And then the project is the kitchen. We have to choose, can be a kitchen. Check the first video for the last week, and then I explain what is it. We have to do a kitchen until the midterm. So because we cannot go to anybody houses like last year, my last year, my student, they choose different people, my grandmother, my boyfriend, and they go there and check measure. But this year we cannot do anything like that. So be careful. So you can use your own space. So you have to design a new kitchen and use all the information I'm passing in this class, and we'll see in the books. Only that. So I design our kitchen for until the midterm. And then after the midterm, we'll start with bathroom design. It will be the same. Choose one bathroom, and then we make a new design. Is that okay, Sophia? Yeah, only the 45 so far. I'll explain. Today I put the 4 and 5, but along the week, this week, I put the rest. And the quizzes, they are here in this book. Everything I'm doing is just copying and put the quizzes there, okay? So I promise this week, all the rest, the quiz will be there, I promise. Sorry about that, but I have to do a lot of stuff at the same time. All right, Sophie? Okay, for this kitchen, we'll do in October 12th. I put this, let me see if I can show this here. Just a minute. Okay, let me see if I can show this for you guys now again. There you go. So I think, Sophie, our midterm will be October 19th. So last week we did the presentation. We talk about the subjects. Today we talk about the kitchen and design human factors. Next week we won't have a class. I talked with my boss, so there's no class, but I will upload material so I can make this class the next. Okay, I'll move this from here to there, etc. So, and then I'll leave some days free for you to get involved on your project. So my idea, like I did last year with my students, was in class, is for the half of the year, we do the kitchen design. And then after October 19, October 26th, we start with the bathroom. So I think October 19 is gonna be the deadline for us to see this kitchen design, okay? Because I think October 19 is the deadline for me to upload, to post the notes, the grade for the midterm. But I will ask my boss if it's okay like that or not. But anyways, I want to do this way, split the semester in two. The first half kitchen in blue, and the other half, the last half, is gonna be the bathroom. So we still have a September and until beginning of October to finalize this project. And once again, let me show this here. Be simple with your project. Don't do anything complicated. Be something, because the time is not online. We don't have a lot of time. So be simple. Choose something small, something really clear. Because the most important is for you to train the design, to train it how to do a project and build your portfolio. So did you, Sophie, did you check the class last week? Okay, so check again and see the slide I post, and you see my suggestion for the project. Okay, be really simple. Okay, you recommend a website to get plan and elevation template drawings. I can look for it. You can see. Okay, Sophie, thank you very much. I don't know any website to get plan, but we can research online. I post last week PDF about plans. It's the first chapter of the kitchen bath plan. So we can go over that PDF in the last week and see how the plans are. It's not a big deal. If you go online, you see basically the same way. I think that material is totally okay for you, Joan. Totally okay. But if you still think not complete, if you think you need more information, I can see more. But when I go in Google image, for example, and put elevation plans, shows the same, all the same. So there's no specific website to get any plan elevation templates so far. I can research, but I don't know so far anything. If somebody finds something, please share it with the rest of the class. Okay. Any more question? Is that okay, Joanne?
Would you be able to share the projects from last year's students so that we have an idea of what to do?
Okay. I showed last week one project, and then okay, I'll go because some it's not okay, but I will do that. I will get the material from last year and I post. I will upload in our Canvas. Yeah, I think I have some students. I think I still say, because the problem is my computer from last year, I have a Windows 10 and crashed. So it destroyed my hardware. So I lost a lot of stuff because it was in my computer and I didn't save in the cloud. It was silly. So I used the computer from the Santa Barbara City College, but I will look for the emails they sent to me. When I found some good project, I will upload as a model for you guys. I promise I will do this week, okay?
Thank you. Yeah, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, it will be helpful. You're welcome.
So back to the templates, should I just measure what my own dishwasher then? Is that the best thing to do?
Yep. If you want to use the same dishwasher, yes. But if you want to use a different dishwasher, you go online and say, oh, I want this dishwasher. And I will explain this in the next class, but that's the way it works. All the equipment, all the appliance, all the fixture, they have the manual installation, etc. Special appliance.
Mhm.
And then when your customer chooses one specific appliance, we designers must get the manual of that brand, and the manual explain the installation, the buffer, the distance, everything. So we don't try to do by itself. The manufacturer offers to us all this information. If you're using your own product, it's okay. Use the same measurement and see how it will fit in your new cabinet, and that's it. Okay? Any more questions? All right, I think nobody has question. Well, I move fast, but I present everything. Now, what I will do now is upload this video, and I will upload the slide. Okay, I will finish here the record. I will stop.